Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alfany. It seems like every day now, something massive is happening. We're going to start off with a little bit of XRP news, all right? Then later on, I'm going to let Christine Lagarde, the head of the ECB, expose herself. Sometimes you shouldn't say certain things, right? There's an old ancient saying, something like, keep silent your tongue so your words don't betray you. And she definitely exposed herself. That's coming in later chapters. You can find right down there. I'm going to let her say what she says. And then I'm going to let you read certain information that proves that what she says makes no sense whatsoever. But let's begin here on coinedition.com. You can make up your own mind, all right? I'm not here to control your mind. This article is titled, U.S. Lawmaker Says SEC Chair Gary Gensler. I'm sorry, this is funny. Gensler is a bad faith regulator. They've really been giving it to Gary Gensler lately. He deserves it. It's about time. They called him a bad faith. Oh, my word. So, my apologies, everybody. Just once in a while, just permit me to get a little laughing. That's hilarious. United States Congressman Tom Emmer has taken issue with the conduct. It's about time. How long has Gary Gensler been moving like some sort of mafia boss? I hate to say it, but that's how he's been moving. What his personal beliefs are, not the law. What his personal beliefs are, that's how he's dictating things. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's not how things are supposed to work and regulations are supposed to work in the United States. You're supposed to go by established law. Well, let's continue on here. It says its chair, Gary Gensler, particularly their approach towards regulation of the crypto industry, which, let's continue on here. In light of recent events, the lawmaker criticized the treatment of crypto firms at the hands of American regulators. During an episode of Unchained podcast with Laura Shin, Congressman Emmer described SEC Chair Gary Gensler as a, quote, redacted disciple. I'm just going to leave that name out because, a subtle hint at his pro-fiat and anti-crypto stance. The lawmaker added that under Gensler's leadership, the commission was more focused on enforcing regulation outside their jurisdiction rather than cracking down on bad actors in the industry. Well, he has a role to play. He definitely does. And I'll tell you what, given the position of the United States financial system right now, it's doing terribly. Have you been keeping up with the news? You know how many, did you hear how many banks are at risk, right? Not only banks, but now you have the IMF speaking about the non-banking financial institutions at risk. So the entirety of the legacy system, you can look that up for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. A little Google search. But the entirety of the legacy system on both sides, the banks and the non-banking financial institutions, are completely on fire. That's not taken into account deflation. Of course, but you have some people calling for hyperinflation. That is also possible. It's all dependent on a very flip-floppy Fed, right? Let's continue on here. It says, quote, this guy, in my mind, is a bad faith regulator. So that always makes me laugh. He has been blindly spraying the crypto community with enforcement actions while completely missing the truly bad actors. Well, number one, crypto is a huge threat. Remember, Christine Lagarde herself once said, I showed you the article, you read it for yourself, once said that DeFi would render banks useless. People could bank themselves. They had to slow it down to find a way to integrate themselves, to find a way for them to be the biggest benefiters or benefactors of the system, of the money. It's always that way. To find a way to keep their people in to a system that is failing. If not, a lot of people, if crypto were allowed to do what it is made to do, a lot of people would leave the legacy system. And sure, they might use Bitcoin. They may use XLM based wallets or something like that. Sure, they will leave to control their own fate, especially if the mainstream media told the truth about how bad the system really is. Not only, okay, I'm going to throw a little bit more out there, and you can look this up also. Research everything that I say. I don't want you to just take my word. Not only are there hundreds of banks at risk right now, but there's also a multitude of bank branches closing down. Do you know that? Do you know if your bank branches are going to be closing down? There's going to be people in the next few months with all of these hundreds of bank branches that will be closing down, shutting down. That will show up to, conduct business one day or, extract capital from that bank, they'll go to that bank and it'll be closed. Are they receiving? I don't know how that works. Are they getting notices about this? Look that up. Okay. All right. I have so much stuff on my mind here. So let's continue on. It says, the commission has faced criticism from industry leaders as well as fellow regulators over its recent crackdown on the crypto industry. The congressman has alleged that the open door policy advertised by the SEC's Gary Gensler was actually a, quote, enter at your own risk door. This guy I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. The way he phrases questions, it's just funny. It's like, I don't know. There's a little bit of comedy to it. In other words, companies operating in the crypto space are encouraged to register with the SEC in the pretext of regulatory compliance, but are provided no guidance or feedback. We've heard that a multitude of times, all right? A bevy of times. So now let's move on to the next article here. All right, before Tom Emmer makes me laugh anymore. I don't know the individual. I don't know their stance in their field, but what that individual has said is pretty accurate. So this one here is also from coinedition.com. Just a little bit of news about, it says XRP's price will soar to 53 cents in coming days. We'll see. It says Twitter user Cryptos, okay, tweeted this morning that the price of the remittance token Ripple XRP has recently closed above a significant price level. According to the tweet, the daily close for XRP has closed above a key price level and may continue to rise in upcoming days. The tweet added that XRP's price will push right above the next resistance level around 53 cents if the level holds. I'm going to stop there so that way you can read the rest of this article either on coinedition.com or you can check out this individual at cryptotos_TA. All right. Seems like they're doing a good job over there. So now let's continue on here. So then we had this little bit of Stellar related news here. You had Denell Dixon tweeting out, no surprise here. Congrats to MoneyGram. But why? It says here, MoneyGram was recognized as one of America's most trustworthy companies. So now you see, Stellar has a big vision. I hate to keep reiterating things, but I'm putting all these pieces together to show the vision. The vision is world domination. They told everybody in the beginning, Stellar wanted to run everything. They're like, they have the same vision as Ripple, only they're fronted by a nonprofit, and they're mostly with retail. That's the main difference. XRP wholesale, Stellar retail, but the mentality of domination is the same. So you have MoneyGram with all of these different openings around the world, right? You have that. And really, I think they're benefiting greatly from congealing with Stellar, so that in the future, when the new financial system takes over, MoneyGram is pushed to the forefront. But then also Stellar is stepping to the forefront. So Stellar has that protection from being integrated with MoneyGram. Not only that, but then you have the United Nations. Keep that in mind. How many members of the United Nations have taken notice of Stellar and brought that information back to their people for future partnerships? Think about that for a minute. That's not the only thing that they do is sit on a board at the United Nations. They have a lot of other business connections. How does that manifest into the future? Then we cover, I don't know if I included this the other day, but Stellar was meeting up with Caroline D. Pham again from the CFTC. They have a great relationship. No doubt in my mind that Caroline D. Pham and that relationship is going to kick open many doors for Stellar, because Stellar is thought to be a currency. You even see it listed as a currency on Coinbase. That's another thing. They have a great relationship with Coinbase, who has been taking a step forward at the forefront of crypto. They've even been fighting back against the SEC. Sooner or later, all of this tension, regulatory tension, has to go away. And when it does, how does that position Stellar? That's what's important here. Stellar will be at the forefront of respected crypto companies. Stellar will be at the forefront of recommended crypto companies. CFTC, United Nations, World Economic Forum, and MoneyGram will step forward and say, and even IBM could step forward and say, this is a company that is respected. They're a company that is reputable. They're a company that that has great technology, easy to work with, and whatever you build on their chain, you remain in power of. That is an opportunity that most businesses are not going to pass up, to utilize such a technology at almost no cost. Small businesses are going to need Stellar en masse. Small banks are going to need Stellar. They're getting crushed right now. Small bank, there's a big problem with the small banks right now, which is why you see all their customers going to the big banks. So keep that in mind. Not only that, but the success of MoneyGram with the USDC, and I'm pretty sure they're doing other things with Stellar. They're probably just keeping it quiet. A lot of testing goes on behind the scene with issuing assets and things of that nature. But that's just speculation, of course. That's just my thoughts, of course. We'll wait until concrete evidence comes out. But I like to mix the two because I do have thoughts and I just share my thoughts. But all those other companies are watching the success of MoneyGram and their integration with Stellar and utilizing USDC across Stellar blockchain. And that is going to be proof and very enticing to them that, hey, we could do the same. And mark my words, Stellar looks a lot more delicious than many other blockchains that don't have easeability of use, that don't have that power and control that you can have on Stellar, that don't have the smart contract capability of Soroban, that can't do 1 million transactions per second. That's going to come in handy in the future. When that, we can't put a number on that. I'm not in charge of the banks or MoneyGram or Stellar or any of that. I'm just simply a researcher, and then I report to you what I find. But I do know that there's the high potentiality in the future that this will be huge for Stellar. If we ever get regulatory clarity, that regulatory tension goes away, watch Stellar go insane. That's just my humble opinion. It's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And whether you buy or sell XRP or Stellar makes no difference to me. I'm here for that bank money. Keep that in mind. But in my humble opinion, watch Stellar go absolutely insane in a regulatorily clear environment. Now let's move on here. Okay? So let's cover just a little bit of Vechain news here. They've been doing a lot. This is from Eisenreich. Once again, says here, recently, the V Carbon Management, hashtag SaaS, was officially launched on the Amazon Cloud Technology, AWS Marketplace, helping companies quickly and effectively manage carbon emissions and product carbon footprints. Vechain continues to impress. Let's read this little tidbit here. Let's see if this document will actually show up with clarity. So this is an official document from V Carbon. It says key release. V Carbon is officially listed on Amazon Technology AWS Marketplace. Recently, V Carbon Management SaaS system, independently developed by Shanghai Tanlian, was officially launched on Amazon Cloud Technology. This is a huge step forward. This product can help companies quickly and efficiently manage carbon emissions and product carbon footprints and reduce the threshold for calculating carbon emissions and management costs through digitalization, making carbon management easier and carbon reduction more controllable. You know what it's going to do? We covered an article in one of the videos this past week, and that article showed that the carbon, like carbon taxing and all of that, carbon credits would scale into the trillions of dollars over the next few years. I think it's going to happen much faster than what they said in the article. Just my humble opinion, looking at how rapidly they're enforcing decarbonization, for lack of a better word. That's why Vechain is getting in deep with carbon credits. That's why Quant keeps talking about carbon credits. That's why Ripple, Algorand are also talking about carbon credits and things of that nature. There's trillions of dollars on the table. Now, can they actualize? Not actualize. How could I phrase this? Can they capitalize on that? They're trying. We have to wait and see. We have to stay up to date on the catalyst. But they are trying for those trillions. That's a fact. I showed you the article. So now let's move on to another article here. All right, we're doing pretty good. You're doing good out there. I hope you are. I hope you're having a good day. I appreciate every single one of you, from my heart to yours. Appreciate you, and I have much love for you, okay? So this article here is from beingcrypto.com. And it's titled, "Can you switch to DeFi and go bankless?" This right here. Oh, Nelly. This is why they are afraid and been holding back the bank coins. This is why they're afraid of Bitcoin also. They're afraid of anything legit that could take people away from their banking system. Their banking system is going to be experiencing massive problems over the next few years. If it survives, I mean, it's going to be tattered and bruised. If it does survive, it's bleeding out right now. But as the people experience that, they're going to look for something else to run to. Here's the thing. See, they don't mind if the people run to gold. They did. You saw them run to gold. We had been talking about gold on the channel for like maybe a year and a half now, something like that. It's been a long time. We've been talking about gold. The regular citizens, they never cared about gold. Gold sat at a low price. Then you saw when the banking collapse happened, they ran to gold. But why? Why don't the banks care about gold? They can only care about crypto because the banks bought a ton of gold. So they benefit. They benefit. When that gold price increases, because everybody's buying it, increase the rarity of such, then the prices start going up. The banks benefit from that. So they don't mind. But putting that to the side, they don't want the people to retreat to self-custodying their value. Value that maybe, let's read this little tidbit here. It says, one of crypto's benefits is that it lays the foundation for an entirely novel financial system. When Bitcoin launched in 2009, it offered the world's first unmediated currency. As crypto caught on and decentralized finance arrived on the scene, everything changed. See, and that's what they don't want either. They don't want something that's completely out of their control. The energies are shifting in the world away from centralized energies, away from it. They're still going to exist, but they'll be minimized. Just as simple as that. And we'll make a ton of money off them if things continue to go according to plan. If they continue to go according to plan, no guarantee. That's not financial advice. But they don't want something that they can't control. Look how they all worked in concert, even though they're all supposed to be enemies. America, Europe, China, at one time Russia, right? They all kind of stepped back from crypto and were like, we don't know about this crypto stuff, because none of them could control Bitcoin. None of them could control XRP. They couldn't control XLM, right? Now, things have changed just a little bit because you had the bank coin companies coming to the table, Stellar coming to the table, Ripple coming to the table and saying, hey, wait a minute, listen, we're trying to work with you. That calmed it down a lot. That's why you had all of those meetings going on with Ripple, Stellar, Algorand. Remember that? We lived through it. A lot of people are new to crypto. We saw them sitting on those governmental panels, on those panels with central banks, trying to talk sense into them, right? So it's calmed things down a little bit. Let's I want to scroll down here. It says going bankless. Pair this, what they're about to say, with what Christine Lagarde said at one time when she said that that DeFi was a threat to the banks that could render the banks useless. Like they would serve no purpose, right? They could overtake. That's what she said. She said they could overtake the banks. I'm paraphrasing, but you can look it up for yourself. I've done it multiple times myself and showed it on the channel. Going bankless, the term, quote, going bankless refers to a philosophy that aims to curb reliance on the traditional banking system, often known as TradFi in crypto parlance. By going bankless, proponents say you can take back control of your finances. Many of TradFi's critics argue that it is too powerful. It is. Going bankless is a way of taking back that power and avoiding surveillance. Definitely, I agree with that. Quote, going bankless with crypto and DeFi is becoming increasingly attractive. Let me stop there. Here's the funny part. we're still in the nascent stages. They didn't even get to the point where you can see absolute banking without banks, right? You can have an account, you can store your capital, you have cards everywhere that you can use at stores. See, we didn't get to that level yet. You have some crypto cards here and there. They're still with legacy system non-banking financial institutions. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a system outright that has cards of their own that can be accepted and used anywhere, right? They haven't gotten to that level yet. They weren't allowed to. That's what they feared, is the system becoming fully independent, fully. Right? And now, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section. Maybe you know something I don't, but I haven't seen it where you can have the account, you can have funds in the account, you can self-custody, let's say cold wallet, and then you have a card. Now, no, don't get me wrong. I had heard at one time about a ledger card, right? But I'm not sure how these different cards function as far as, are they tied? If there's cards that exist, right? Are they tied to legacy non-banking financial institutions? Because I've seen cards they have crypto cards with MasterCard, crypto cards with Visa. Listen, no, that's not what I'm talking about. What they feared is not having to go through any of the legacy system offerings. That's what they feared. As far as I know, DeFi hasn't gotten there yet. It hasn't been allowed to get there yet. Because then if it did, people wouldn't need the banking system. So that's what they fear. It says, let's continue here. It says, as the market matures and on/off ramps become more accessible, the challenges of avoiding traditional finance are gradually diminishing. Recent troubles in the banking sector that we know about. Okay. So I'm going to leave that there. Once again, that's on beingcrypto.com, titled, "Can you switch to DeFi and go bankless in 2023? Let's move on here. We still have the, here it is right here. Here we go. Now I'm going to let Christine Lagarde expose herself. So this was retweeted by Caitlin Long, and it was from Watcher Guru. It's a video. I'm not going to play it here, but you can go to Caitlin Long's Twitter or Watch Guru's Twitter and watch the video. It's a short clip, 3 minutes, 27 seconds. Christine Lagarde in here is explaining how they would like to enact CBDCs because they don't want to be reliant on a foreign currency, which doesn't make a lot of sense in my humble opinion. I guess they're meaning they don't want to interact with a foreign currency. They don't want to have exposure of some sort, but it boils down to control. But here's the thing. So she gave examples of how they wouldn't want to be reliant on a foreign currency. Watch the video for yourself. She said Russian currency, and then put that to the side, okay? Then she said, here, this is key. This showed that they're lying about their intentions. My humble opinion. She said that it was they didn't want to be reliant on a foreign currency, for example, Russian currency or Chinese currency. Wait a minute. If this is all about currency and you didn't want to be relying on currency, wouldn't your goods, wouldn't your food and everything else that's imported, wouldn't that be more detrimental to the people of being reliant on what you call a hostile countries to provide you with such? She referenced currency. Wait a minute. Okay, even if, let's say that was true, and you didn't want to be reliant on the Chinese yuan or something like that, which in a multipolar world, I don't understand why that would be the case. But look at this. Forget currencies. Let's expose the truth here. This is from google.com. Actually, I Googled it. Googled it, sorry. This is from europa.eu. So it's reputable. In 2022, China was the third largest partner for EU exports of goods, 9.0%. Sounds like you're relying on China. A little bit. But wait, there's more. And the largest partner for EU imports of goods. Wait a minute. EU imports of goods? 20.8% from China. Wait, I thought you didn't want to rely on China at all. 20%? Wait. Among EU member states, the Netherlands was the largest importer of goods from China, and Germany was the largest exporter of goods to China. Sounds like you got a lot of business going on with China, as everybody does. So, going back to what you said about, we just want to issue CBDC. We don't want to be reliant on a foreign currency. Interesting. You rely on them for everything else. So that's a lie. That's not why you want it. I can't speak for that individual as to why they want to do such. We can speculate, but that's not the reason, or else you wouldn't rely on import of your goods being at 20% from China. Let's go here. Wait a minute. China is a member of the BRICS nations. China, wait a minute. China, Russia. Well, I'm just doing a little thinking. Brazil. Wait, okay, Brazil. Yeah, that's right. And BRICS nations are their relationships are getting deeper and deeper and deeper, even trying to come up with a common currency, right? But wait, this is from efanews.eu. So it is also reputable. Wait a minute. Brazil is part of the BRICS nations that work closely with China. It says here, in the first quarter of 2022, exports to Italy increased by 27%. for a total of $1.1 billion. You don't say. Exports of Brazilian goods to the EU, European Union, reached a total of 9.05 billion euro in the first quarter of 2022, an increase of more than 45% from 2021 levels. You increased it. So it looks to me like if you consider China hostile, you consider Russia hostile, and Brazil is part of the BRICS nations with them, they must also be hostile, but you're heavily reliant on China and Brazil, which means that what you said about being reliant on a currency, you're getting everything from them. Well, not everything, you're getting many things from them, which means that is a lie. In my humble opinion, that means you have other motivations for that. Maybe you want control over those people that are in your European Union. You want control over their money. You want to make sure you have their data because that's how you make money. That's how you keep a job. It's in your vested interest to oppress those people. That's what I'm seeing here. That's my humble opinion. No disrespect. But let's continue on. It says Brazil exports to Italy reached 930.2 million euros in the first quarter of 2022 with an increase of 27.1%. Let's expose the data. Compared to the same period in 2021, imports from Italy amounted to 1.1 billion euros. Let's not even go into the debt. How all of these countries that are broke in the European Union are lending to each other, that's a head scratcher. They're all heavily in debt. Interesting. So that was exposed. Let's go here. I just want to drag the United States in since Europe follows the United States. They always follow the U.S. I mean, whether they're using, you want to think that they're subject to the U.S. or they're using the U.S. as just like a shield or attack dog, because, you know, the U.S. use their military for everything. So, yeah, sure, you should definitely hide behind one of the biggest fighters on the planet, sure. But for whatever reason it is, Europe always follows U.S., so let's drag U.S. into this also, because they seem to be very hostile against China, the government that is, not the people. The peoples across the world don't seem to have a problem with each other. It's the governmental entities, right? Look at this. How can you have a problem with China when you're so heavily reliant on China? China owns a ton of U.S. debt. But let's read this little tidbit here. In 2021, 8.6% of total U.S. exports of $1.8 trillion to the world were exported to China. 8.6%, $1.8 trillion. That's a lot of capital. Look at this. That's put that to the side. Wait a minute. It says, and 17.9% U.S. imports. You see this? They're getting exposed. How can something is rotten in Denmark? 17.9% of total U.S. imports of $2.8 trillion were imported from China. But we already know that, those who live in the United States. How many times have people looked on the back of something over the decades and it said made in China? How many times? So we all know that, right? How can you go against those people? If they average, you're going to sanction some of these people. You're going to do this and that to them. If they support these other individuals that you have a problem with. And what if they went against you? 17.9%. What if they shut that down? What if they greatly diminish that and retort to what you're doing? My word, something is rotten in Denmark. It looks like you may want a collapse. I know a lot of people here are already on that ship of this is controlled demolition, but we have to provide facts. We have to expose the truth. When someone like Christine Lagarde comes out, a lot of the people listen and they take that person's word to be law. If it was really about interactions with a hostile country or currency, it looks like there's a lot of currency exchange going on, and it's in relation to goods, right? Food, agriculture, whatever, from Brazil to China to Europe. That, in my opinion, is a lie. So now that we ripped the veil off of that and exposed the truth on that, we have two more articles here, actually, and they're both very important. Listen, this article here is from CNBC.com and it's titled, this is by Kelly Evans, so let's give credit, okay? Deflation. Haven't I been talking about that for about a year and a half now? Deflation, not hyperinflation, is the real risk here. It's ironic that people spent the weekend on Twitter following Balaji Srinivasan's bold bet on hyperinflation, because the very opposite is the bigger risk, once again, for the U.S. economy. Kelly, I've been saying the same thing. I hope they listen to you. I really do. But let's continue on. And another rate hike this week will only increase the odds of a deflationary outcome. The argument that, quote, the Fed shouldn't let a banking crisis deter it from rate hikes, unquote, completely reverses the cause and effect that's playing out here. The banking crisis happened because the Fed had to tighten so quickly, which happened because they way overstimulated in the first place. Yes, this is a person who knows what they're talking about. The deeply inverted yield curves were a warning that something bad was coming and that policy was moving too far too fast. Officials simply chose to ignore that. Oh my, I told you, it's not just monetary policy. It's the minds behind the monetary policy. The minds haven't changed. Whether it's the Fed or it's the regular banks, the minds haven't changed. And so the policy cannot change. The behavioral patterns will not change. Let's continue on. Officials simply chose to ignore that. And even now, sound as if they might ignore the resulting bank crisis too. Remember, I said there's hundreds of banks at risk. Look it up for yourself. Not a joke. And even more of their branches are closing. Something is rotten in Denmark. Let's not forget that it was the excessive Fed and fiscal stimulus post-redacted that gave us too much of everything. Money, inflation, bank deposits, new companies, jobs, and now we have to unwind it. If the Fed had started tightening sooner, as we kept arguing, I did as well, I suggested that they go higher, harder, faster. Just rip the Band-Aid off. They could have avoided the severity of these rate hikes, which they undid just now by pumping over $400 billion into the economy to help out certain banks. They did not, because they always focus on lagging data, not forward-looking market projections that have proven reliable over the decades. That, and they're lazy. And right now, believe it or not, the market is warning that the Fed is about to miss its inflation target to the downside. The break-evens now imply that inflation will average a mere 2.1% over the next 5 years, barely above the Fed's 2% target. The series reached as high as 3.5% last March, when the Fed had only just begun to hike, but has steadily declined since. Even the upward creep saw over the past few months has now been decidedly reversed. Similarly, I would disagree with that respectfully. Similarly, consumers' expectations of inflation have kept dropping. It's either inflation or is massive price gouging, one of the two. Something's going on. I'm telling you that right now because I saw it. Yeah. Their year-ahead inflation expectations are quickly reversing the redacted surge, falling to 3.8% on Friday. They're always a little higher than the actual inflation rate. I agree with that. 5 to 10-year expectations dropped as well to 2.8%. Last Friday, we also saw another decline in the index of leading indicators for the 11th month in a row, and the 6.5% year-on-year drop we are in has never happened outside of recessions. Obviously, a recession is going to loosen the labor market, unwind wage pressures, soften housing and rent prices, and further remove upward pressure on inflation. Whether it begins next month or in 2 or 3 or 4 months should not matter in terms of the Fed's response here, which should obviously be to cut or at least pause rate hikes. They're crushing everything in sight on purpose. That's how I felt. I said it last year. People are losing their jobs. Small businesses are going out of business. They're crushing the small banks. Holy smokes, the devastation is unbelievable. How could you make such a mistake? And then after making such a mistake, how do the people ever trust you again? That's the thing I always question. Why do people trust these entities? But hey, to each his own, right? Trying to move a little quickly here so I don't make the video too long. Then I'll have to chop it. If you notice in most videos, I have to chop it up. Some of these videos will be over an hour. So let's continue on. The more they hike now, the more they'll end up cutting anyway. The market as of Friday already had the Fed funds rate below 4% by January, implying around 75 basis points of rate cuts by then or more if they keep hiking first. And this is why tech stocks, Bitcoin, and similar liquidity momentum trades have taken off. The market shows the Fed can't keep tightening and will soon have to ease. Can't? We'll see about that. They shouldn't is what you should say. In my humble opinion, that's what I would say. They shouldn't. Not that they can't. Something's rotten in Denmark. You keep saying that. It just works. It's all very reminiscent of the 2010s. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. That's on CNBC.com. Once again, it's titled Deflation, Not Hyperinflation. The Real Risk. It was released March 20 of 2023. Let's end off here, all right? I want to get all this important news to you. I just want to show you just a little bit. I saw some very, very disturbing numbers. I'm not going to put it in here. We don't have enough time. This is from WFTV.com. And it's titled PNC Bank set to close 47 branches across the U.S. by the end of June. PNC Bank. Okay, let's scroll down here. PNC Bank will be closing 47 branches by the 3rd week in June. So if you use PNC Bank, now you know. Check out and make sure your branch is not one that's closing. 47 branches by the 3rd week in June, according to recent filings with the U.S. Office of the Comptroller of Currency, the OCC. According to a March 25th weekly bulletin of regulatory filings, PNC will shutter 47 branches across the country by June 23rd. According to the filings, 11 locations in Virginia will close, followed by 7 in Texas, 5 in New Jersey, and 4 in Alabama. 3 locations will close in Maryland, 3 in Florida, while Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Ohio are losing 2 PNC locations each. This is only going to continue. California, Colorado, Illinois, Michigan, North Carolina will lose 1 location each. 1 other branch will close, but it is not included in the OCC list. A PNC spokesperson told Best Life that the company decided to close the branches after regular evaluations of the company's performance. And we're going to leave off at that. That's on WFTV.com. And it's titled, once again, it's titled, if you want to find it, PNC Bank set to close 47 branches across the U.S. by end of June. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. New financial system coming in fast. It looks like they don't have a choice. So until next time, let's get to the money.